Welcome to the Church of Obelisk. My name is Jorn. Today we're going to take a look at a Beastmaster game played by Mu, which is going to showcase a very different kind of Beastmaster build. This is a very high level game. It's a 10.6k average pub game played in North America. So the normal Beastmaster build, of course, is to rush for Helm of Dominator, and then you get Vlads and Tunnel of the Overlord, and you just sort of push with that fast ancient creep. And that is, of course, still the standard build. That's the build you usually want to go for. It's also the build that Mu is usually going to go for. But here in this particular game, he is instead going to go for a magic build focused on the Aghanims. What the Aghanims does is it removes the cooldown from the axes, so you can spam out axes and do a lot of magic damage. Now, the reason he wants to go for this build here is twofold. First of all, the regular Dominator build is not as strong here because there's a lot of AoE in this game, particularly from Leshrac. You can clear those creeps quite handily, and also Mars with his arena and Clockman with his cogs makes it harder to actually use those creeps properly. Secondly, is facing up against this Phantom Lancer, who is of course a hero that requires a lot of AoE damage to deal with, and the axes are really helpful there, because in the early game Phantom is not that strong, so the fact that it takes a while for the axes to come online for you to take the Aghanims is fine. But by the time that Phantom Lancer is online, you're definitely going to have your Aghanims, and then you can deal quite well with the Phantom Lancer in the mid game. Of course, this is a very mana intensive build, so you can already see he's starting out with a Sage's Mask. He's getting a Ring of Basilius as his first item here. You need lots and lots of mana for this build, and that's of course what you want to have in your item build. But as you can see, the axe is not that great actually for laning, although to be fair, the level 1 board is also not that great. Nu's actually getting a point in Inner Beast, which kind of surprises me. Normally, if you do this build, you still skill up Call the Wild as well. But I guess he figures that he doesn't have enough mana to cast both spells. But definitely the beasts can be quite useful, especially against Clockwork, so he don't take quite as much damage from Battery Assault. But the item he's going to go for here is going to be a Veil after boots here. And so if you go for the Dominator build, you can delay your boots for a very long time. Oftentimes you see Beastmaster either just getting boots after Helm of Overlord or after Helm of Dominator, but almost never before Dominator. But here with this build, our on movement speed is going to be more important. We want to reposition ourselves more freely. We're not really limited by the movement speed of creeps, so we want to get those boots out early, and then we just need lots and lots of mana. So an item like a Soul Ring is great to get, and Soul Ring of course works quite well in combination with Tranquil Boots. So Tranquil or Soul Ring is a very strong possibility. With this build you can also go for Mana Boots, which you can then disassemble and use that energy booster for Ether Lens, which is quite a strong item on Beastmaster, or you can later on maybe get Lotus Orb. But either way, Mana Boots are quite strong. But in this game, he's gonna go for the somewhat greedy, bit more selfish option of Tranquil Boots and Soul Ring, which gives you more mana and also just more HP sustain. But of course, you don't get that benefit of providing mana to your teammates. This combination of Beastmaster and Shadow Shaman can actually output a lot of damage here. You can see him using axes to get the creeps and also harass the PL. And here's a situation where it would be very nice to have a board to tank some of those hits here, but still see how much damage comes out of these axes. And now that Phantom Lancer is alone, if they can get in here with enough mana on the Shadow Shaman, they can actually just get another kill here. So this lane is going quite well for them. However, the other lanes are not going quite as well so far, so that's going to be a problem in this game. You can see he's now got Tranquil Boots finished, and now he's queued up the Soul Ring. These are the kind of items you want on this Beastmaster build. And you can see the Phantom Lance has a really hard time actually dealing with those axes, because they're also magical damage, So they do quite well against these Agi heroes. And he's now got a point in Call of the Wild at level 4 here. And he's not really using the bow very much, he's mostly using the Hawk. Hawk is already quite strong level 1. And yeah, you just need that mana for your wild axes here. But now here one bow is nice for the extra slow. It's not like a huge amount of slow, but still it helps. And they can maybe get a kill here. Let's see, a bit of a chase. And nothing really materializing there. But it's still okay, because they're still putting a lot of pressure here onto this lane. And now that he has his key items up, Tranquil Boots and Soul Ring, he's going to go for the Veil of Discord next. But he sees a fight going on in the mid lane. That's an easy TP here. And they can take out this hero. And in the meantime, down here, tower is getting taken out, so he doesn't need to return to the bottom lane. He can stay here in the mid lane for a bit, because they do have these Serpent Wards here available on the Shadow Shaman, so that can potentially be another tower. And he just wants to sit back here a bit, heal up with the Tranquil Boots, while this tower gets pushed, and he's also making sure that no one is hiding in the trees. But still, on the left side, that is going to be a dead Shadow Shaman. There's not too much he can do here, and he just has to try to get out of the zone. But it does not look good for him, and that is a dead Beastmaster. So yeah, even though it looked promising to stay in the mid lane, actually was a bit of a mistake. They just didn't quite have enough resources there. Now that the laning phase is coming to an end, we can sort of take stock and see how the game stands. Beastmaster here is doing fine. He's about the same farm as the Phantom Lancer, but the other two lanes are the big problem. If you see mid lane, really disastrous. Gunnar here on the Leshrac is much more farmed than Bryle on his Void Spirit here. And then also top lane, Mason on his PA is very underfarmed compared to Moon Meander on his Mars. So 2k deficit in total, and just a really hard game so far for the Dire. And at this stage of the game, it's important not to get too impatient. This is a point where Beastmaster is not that strong if he's going for this Aghanim's build. Yeah, you have your Veil, that's nice and all, but you don't actually do that much damage without the Aghanims. So if you have strong teammates, you can still play around them, but here in this game, he does not really have strong teammates. This Void Spirit, who's usually the playmaker, is very underfarmed, like he has a bunch of Null Talismans, and that's pretty much it. So there's not too much to be done. It's mostly just about sort of farming, splitting the map, and maybe getting something done with these Serpent Wards, but it doesn't look too good, to be honest. So this might be a bit of an overextension. They're getting some damage from this tower, but it's unlikely to fall here, and just giving a lot of farm here to the enemy with the Serpent Wards. So really the play here is to just sort of play this area of the map, you know, try to shove in the bottom lane, take some of these camps, and try to work towards that Aghanims. And they keep trying to make things happen with the Serpent Wards, and they try to go for a kill here. It does not quite work out, but with the axes up, that should be a kill. And there we go, Serpent Wards again dropped. The tower is now very low, so they're probably going to get this tower. But are they going to get out alive? That's the question. The tower does eventually get denied, not even a kill. And Beastmaster also in very rough shape here. And very importantly, he does have a wand here, which is really crucial against any hero with a Diffu Blade. You can have at least some mana in fights, but of course not really going to save him in that situation. Important thing to notice that teammates with Boots of Travel can TP onto your birds, and as well as your bows, so that's important to keep in mind. And they're trying to set up some sort of kill here, but it's not going to be easy because they're already kind of far behind, and there's still no Aghanims on Beastmaster. So they try for this kill, but nothing really dies, and now the turnaround comes. Roar is available, and you of course want to use that, but does not quite manage to get it off. If you're behind like that and you're close to your Aghanims, you just want to avoid fights as much as possible. At the same time though, of course, if there's a big fight and you can TP in there, of course you should participate in fights, but you're not really looking for fights. And you just want to use your hawks to provide additional safety while you take the farm you can, but of course leaving, you know, the most and the safest farm to your carry. I have pushed in there. I don't think that's a very good idea, and they're going to lose an ogre for it, but the rest of them are going to get away. They at least bought some time with that, but it's not really much space created because PA was also there. And they also get caught out a little bit here. That is going to be a dead squirrel though, so that's something at least. You have to be super careful here not to get hookshot, and you're already positioning his bow here to provide vision as well as block potential hook shots. A very smart play. They want to secure their own jungle for their own farm. Meanwhile, the PA is going to go to the other side of the map. It's probably going to go to the triangle next to take that safe farm over there. And as an offlaner, you want to typically take the more risky farm to leave the safe farm to your carry. But taking risky farm does not mean that you want to die. It just means that, you know, take the farm that's a little bit more iffy, but still be careful not to die. You see him, he's playing rather carefully and not going too far forward, sending his bows to the front line while he's just sort of staying back mostly with his axes, and as soon as he sees anything, he's running back again. Finally, he's got the Aghanims, so now he can actually do a lot of damage over time if he doesn't die. So follow up after the Aghanims is typically a BKB or a Shard. Both are going to be great. In this game, you probably have to go for the BKB first, just because it's so important. Helps you survive against the Leshrac, allows you to walk through the ultimate from Mars, and also allows you to not get mana burned by Phantom Lancer. So they don't really see this Roshan going on right now and don't really have the resources to contest it. So he's just going to push out the waves. And it's hard to tell at this point if your opponent is doing Roche, and he's sending a Hawk there to confirm, but it's going to be too late. By the time his Hawk arrives, the Roche is already almost dead, so there's no point in trying to contest here. Now you have the Aghanim, so you can just easily double nuke a wave and kill it. You can see here, 1, 2, and the wave is dead. And when you're behind, you're playing against an Aegis, you want to do plays like this. Just use Serpent Wards, use bows and such to pressure tower without really committing there. And you want to force someone to TP to the top and waste their time trying to chase you while your PA gets farmed. She's got a Battle Fury, she's getting constantly bloodlusted, so this PA is going to farm quite fast. And that really is the win condition. And ideally, once you have the Aghanims, you want to take fights, but here in this game, they're so far behind that it's not super easy. And he's actually just deciding for an Aghanim shot before the BKB here, apparently. You can argue in both directions. Both the shard and the BKB are super important here. Shard, of course, also gives you more map control because you get more Hawks, as well as having that extra stun. This entire time it's just been split pushing. Now the enemy team is hitting high ground. Of course, he has to return, and Beastmaster with Aghanims is very good at defending high ground. You can just keep spamming out those axes and kill all the creep waves very quickly and efficiently. And so even though they took a lot of damage on the tower, they have now successfully waited out this Aegis, forced Leshrac to TP to the bottom, and now the Aegis is going to be gone. And after this, it's going to be a large net worth lead for Radiant, but still there's now a fighting chance for the Dire. They just got an item timing here on the P8. Desolator is finished, so they go for a smoke immediately. So these are like the 3 key items you're looking for on PA if you go with the Battle Fury build. She's quite strong now. Despite their 10k deficit, they have a decent chance of winning fights now. And they're just hunting for any sort of target, ideally something more than just this clockwork. Ideally they want to find the Phantom Lancer or the Leshrac, but they're not going to be successful. So in this case, smoke does not work out here, but it's still the idea here that counts. Is that when you have hit key timings, you want to go do something, like go for a smoke, for example. As far as neutral items are concerned, items you're looking for is items that give you extra mana, like this Essence Ring, or items that make you tankier, like Essence Ring. So this is a great choice here. Doesn't like a quickening charm is not that important because you already have no cooldown on wild axes, so it's not as great. But like Spider Legs is really a very strong tier 3 item to get. Extra mobility is also super important on this hero, so you can reposition better and cast the axes from the proper angle. And you'd also just want to be kiting quite a bit in the fights. There's no reason to be in the front lines. You have a decent amount of range here. Not so much on the roar, but a lot of range on the axis. So you can just sit back most of the time and don't really want to be in the front lines where you get all your mana drained by a Phantom Lancer. Other great neutral items are from like the starting tier. A Cane Ring is great for your mana needs, as is a Keen Optic. Fairy Trinket is also quite nice. Nether Shawl is great on tier 2. Also, just something as simple as Bullwhip, which is extra regen, is never a bad idea. As far as tier 3 goes, probably Spider Legs is going to be the strongest. For tier 4, Ironman's Relic is quite nice, extra spell damage, as well as longer duration for Primal Roar is quite nice. Also, the debuff duration from Wild Axes is increased, which is not that big of a deal, but it's mostly about buffing up the Roar and the spell damage, but, you know, very good item. Stormcrafter can also be nice for the extra mana, as well as the ability to dispel, especially facing silences. And, you know, another fight going on here. Again, you see he's trying to keep away from the fight as much as possible. Unfortunately, he ends up roaring himself with the Lotus. And the fight does not go as they had expected. Whenever you have the mana, you just want to spam out your boars and hawks as much as you can. No point in saving these. Cooldowns are pretty low. And if you just keep spamming the boar, you're always going to have 2 boars, which is nice. And with the shard, you can get like 2 or most of the time 3 hawks up. 23-second cooldown and 6-second duration. And you can see in this fight, he's not going down here to assist his PA. He's just going to stay on the high ground here, throw out the axes from a safe distance, and not commit deeply here. That's what the enemy team wants. And you're not really a melee hero at this point. You're just a hero that's like a ranged hero with axes. That's basically your auto attack at this stage. You just want to spam out these axes as much as possible, force down the HP on these illusions, and just stay as far back as you can. He's even teleporting here so you can use Fountain Region for a bit longer. And this is a very strong push coming in, but he's not overcommitting there. Yeah, they're gonna lose Raxus. Yeah, that's gonna suck, but you just stay back here and spam all those axes, forcing him to commit deeply here, and unfortunately no real counterplay possible here. Even though he stayed back very far, they still got the initiation, which sucks. So right now the game is not looking good at all. But we see our PA has quite a bit of gold here. And yeah, we can see in a second what she goes for. But unfortunately there's no buyback here. Of course you want to buy out for BKB. Super important item. Don't save buyback over getting BKB. Almost ever. But definitely you would like to buy back here if you could. But this team is doing a decent job here of holding the fort. And PA with a Bloodlust doing a good job. But eventually she dies, but he does it buyback. And here you can see it now queued up. It's the Rapier. This is clearly the best choice here. This is the only choice, honestly. You need to go Rapier in a situation like this. You still have 1 lane of Rax, so there's no point in like trying to go into sort of safe item build. You gotta go for the Rapier here. As Beastmaster here, we just again stay back in the fight, throw out the axes, and be as safe as possible. Now that we have BKB up as well, it's gonna be a lot easier to disengage when we actually get Gunnarsson. Here is still dead, and Dire is going for a bit of a random smoke play. No particular reason I see for going for this particular smoke here. But of course, they're going to put down some deeper wards and maybe they can find something. And it's not really something that people super expect. Of course, now that no one is pushing out these waves in a while, people are probably going to get suspicious. But they do, in fact, he managed to find Leshrac with his very deep ward that was just placed. It's going to be a quick kill with no chance for activating BKB here. And now it's just about getting out. You're super deep here. You don't know if Leshrac is buyback. So in this case, he does not have buyback, but they don't know that. And in fact, they just go for another smoke right away. Of course, Leshrac is dead, so there's a chance to make something happen. And also, we see Rapier up here on PA. So she's going to be super strong now. And sort of now is the time when they can do something. Roshan is not up yet, and they know that. So no point in going for that. But they do want to find some more pickoffs. And maybe find some sort of objectives after that. They do need to find here a Mars. That should be a quick kill here. And very good roll here onto the Phantom Lancer, bringing him down, and now the enemy team is in shambles. And they don't really have anything right now to deal with the PA, who, despite being behind the network still by quite a bit compared to the Phantom Lancer here, she's still a strong hero now just because of the power of Rapier, as well as the fact that she gets buffed up by the Ogre and his Bloodlust, as well as, of course, getting the aura here from Beastmaster. That's a lot of bonus attack speed that she gets, and this allows you to just go for this full damage build and do really, really well. Icon Push is on the way, but they still manage to push the bottom end as well. And they do, in fact, find a kill here on Clockwork. There we go. A little bit of a multicast there to finish him off. And it's great if you're pushing high ground to put Hawks in these kinds of positions where you can get some high ground vision and where they can't really be detected usually. As you put like a Hawk somewhere here, that's often going to be a sentry there, it's going to be killed, or it might just die to random AoE stuff. But here the Hawk is quite safe and does actually have a lot of vision. And also Hawk of course has Dive Bomb with the Aghanims, the Aghanim shards, and it's just a very good asset to have there. But now that PL is about to come back, they just go back. They got one lane and they expended the Serpent Mods for that, so it's very smart to just back off now and try to get Roshan. But it's not quite up. Something that too few players do at lower levels is just get some mango sometimes. Right now, he doesn't really have any important item that he needs to save up for, but it's super important to just be strong right now, because any fight that breaks out right now could decide the game. Because if they lose this Rapier, the game is over. Right? They can never lose PA here in this game. So it's just super important to be in fighting shape at all times, so just investing a little bit of gold into 3 mangoes is a very smart investment here. And this allows them to be super fight ready here. And nothing much happens in this fight, but you don't know that in advance. Right? You need to be constantly fight ready in a situation like that. Because late game Dota is super volatile. Another smoke used, and sort of spread out a little bit, see if Roshan is up, not quite up yet. If they were up, we probably would have done it with just PA, the rest of the team being nearby. And yeah, in this fight, again, we want to be on the outskirts here. Roar people with BKB, that's great. Because ideally you want to roar the real Phantom Lancer, but Roaring Mars is good enough. And yeah, at this point it's just the PA show basically. But it's still super important to stay alive, because we provide her with a very valuable aura as well as a stun, and also just a good way of dealing with those illusions, which is doing a lot of damage in general. Now Roshan is still not up. Probably when now it just spawned. So we want to use the Call of the Hawk, Call of the Wild Hawk here, somewhere nearby. Probably I would cast it like here maybe, or here or here. What did you put it? I put it down here, giving more scouting. And yeah, you're just gonna go back now for some mana. And it's important not to rush headlong into this. You do need mana on this hero. Beastmaster with no mana doesn't do anything with this build. Also picked up a gem now, actually bought by Dubo here, by the Ogre. And Beastmaster is a very good gem carry because you can always get high ground vision with either Call of the Wild Hawks or with the Wild Axes. So it's really good at dewarding. Moo's now gone for Boots of Travel, which is a pretty strong choice. There's not really any super powerful item you can get as a follow-up. He's choosing to go for Refresher Orb here, but he's probably going to save buyback over that. You could also go more into a physical route by getting something like an AC, but he's choosing to stay with the magical route. They find really good initiation here onto the Phantom Lancer, and it's going to be an easy fight here. And yeah, Void Spirit is still finding some nice initiations and a lot of mobility here. Combine that with the huge damage coming out of PA, and of course the classic combination Aegis and Rapier is very hard to deal with. So it might kill her once here, but can it kill her twice? That is going to be the question. There's 2 people dead, no buybacks on them, and they're just gonna choose to disengage here for now. It's super close here. Pia getting a bit low here, but with her Satanic she can just heal up with like 1 hit. And yeah, so they get out of there. They got some buybacks and they don't lose PA, but now they've lost the Aegis. So even though they now have a 4-3 numbers advantage, they still have to deal with these lanes that are constantly pushing in. So Beastmaster TP'd back here with his Boots of Travel. He's going to push out this wave here a little bit and then probably try to rejoin his team. But by the time he's got Travels up again, the enemy heroes will be respawning. One problem with this build is he doesn't really have mana regen anymore now that he has sold the Soul Ring to carry the gem here. So he probably should be flying himself out some mangoes. I haven't really talked about the Blink Tag yet, but of course that's also a very logical follow-up here after the BKB. Just allows you to get much better rolls. This war doesn't have very much cooldown, and you want to stay in the backline. So you sort of blink in here, get a good roll off, Left Trigger is a good target, and then you just disengage here and keep throwing out your axes here. EA is in a bit of trouble. He actually dies. Where's the Rapier? Rapier is still on the ground. Pia, of course, has bought back. Mars has picked up the Rapier, but can they kill him here? And he just barely goes down. Pia is back here with the Rapier. She bought Boots of Travel so she could immediately rejoin the fight. It's also a big advantage of Beastmaster. They can always have these targets to TP to. So they do kill everything here with the buyback and the PA. And that is gonna be the game. Beastmaster also buying back. He's got Boots of Travel too. So there's no point saving buybacks here. This is when you finish the game. Yeah, this is definitely not the kind of Beastmaster build you want to go for every game. But in a situation like this, where like 2 things come together, where on the one hand, and this invests a lot of AoE, and secondly, having AoE yourself is very valuable here against a PL. It's definitely a very viable alternative build. But of course, most of the time, you still want to go with the classic Helm of the Overlord build. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm providing lots of guides and commentaries and other instructional material on Dota 2, as well as some Age of Empires 4 content. So subscribe to the channel and also click on the videos on the screen if you want to see some more. And over this building, I'll see you there.